Everybody, recently there was some news about Xi Jinping's house arrest and an ongoing military coup in China. As addressed in social media and news channels, the PLA army supposedly marched towards Beijing and encircled it. I will tell you exactly why a military coup in China is very much unlikely as compared to Pakistan. You see, in other major powers in the world, the militaries create geopolitical strategies along with their respective central governments and the deep state according to their long-term geopolitical ambitions and national interests. This particular news was nothing but another random Western media propaganda. Leaving that aside, let's come to the topic of discussion. All of China's long-term geopolitical objectives, strategies, and ambitions are primarily created and envisioned by the CCP, and the Chinese military has little to none to do with all this. Unlike in other countries' militaries, the generals, marshals, and all the top commanders leapfrog with sheer credibility and experience and reach to the top, but in China, there is huge-scale corruption even in the armed forces. None of the high-ranking officers across all the branches have credibility or wartime experience. They invaded Vietnam and got pounded brutally, and the psychological bruises are still there in their DNA. China has not fought a single large-scale war in the civilizational history, and in modern times, the PLA haven't conducted any major military or anti-terror operation, unlike India, US, Israel, France, or UK, and Russia. And along with that, the PLA have not even made any significant contribution to UN peacekeeping missions. So naturally, the Chinese military commanders does not have the slightest idea of making strategies or to undertake any huge step against its own government to gain control over its nation. Armies are led by commanders and generals, and when top military officers are corrupted with lack of credibility and their rise to the top, career and survival depends on a single autocratic political party, it becomes almost impossible to imagine that they will lead their army against the ruling government. And even if they did, hypothetically, they would not know what to do with that absolute control over their nation. Some people might argue and mention the famous incident of the 1989 Tiananmen Square massacre. It should be noted that the PLA marched into Beijing and conducted a brutal operation against its own people, and it was the CCP that gave those orders to the PLA. But ultimately, after so much of spicy gossips and debates in media all across the world, especially in India, His Highness Xi Jinping, the Emperor of the Land of Dragons, appeared in public with his iconic subtle smile and squashed all the rumors and typical media propagandas of the West. He will again come to power by the end of this year and declare absolute dictatorship for at least another decade. In the case of Pakistan, as everyone knows, the entire domain of absolute power structure of the nation is in the hands of the army leaders, and the country was designed to function in this manner right after the formation of Pakistan. So in essence, Pakistan has always been under military coup since its inception as a long-term geopolitical tool against India. In the case of China, they are the only major power in the world whose military and government, deep down inside, are afraid to involve themselves in any sort of large-scale kinetic war. The ultimate weapon of China is their diabolical wolf warrior financial diplomacy to eventually take over the world by imposing their indirect control over all the small powers in the world across all the continents.
The controversial Chinese trucking vessel Yuan-15 is docked at Sri Lanka's Hambantota port despite security concerns raised by India. The development came just days after Sri Lanka's law granting permission for the Chinese research vessel to visit the island.
But we can expect some very crazy military misadventures by the CCP, most probably, as many would know, against Taiwan, Japan, India, or in fact Australia. And with this, I end this episode and will surely meet you in the next one. Thank you and take care.